Don't stop.
Hi, thanks for joining me on the Everything and Anything at a Big Gay podcast. I'm your host, Zach Randles-Friedman. Before I get into my guest today, I'm going to say that she has inspired me to book some time. I'm going to be in New York City a few times between now and the end of the year. And we are going to be there during the week of Christmas and to see family. And I want to see a Broadway show. And I haven't seen a Broadway show in probably over a year. I'm trying to think no, that's not true. Yeah, kind of is true, I guess. It's been a year since I've seen a Broadway show. Or I want to see a cabaret, or I want to see something in New York. So, yeah, Neyla was on my show today. She is a Grammy-nominated artist. She has a show coming up, which we'll talk about a little bit in the interview, in New York City on August 13th. She has another show that is in LA on August 27th. I wish I was in New York because I would love to see her. My husband would love everything about her because he loves her type of music that she does. She has a barbershop quartet that's going to be part of it. It sounds like a fantastic show that she's putting on. She has different people, different guests coming on, different each in LA compared to New York. It sounds like it's going to be an amazing time. So I would really, really, really love to go and see that. If it wasn't so soon of me doing the interview to the show, I would make a trip down to New York just to see her play because she was so genuinely nice and amazing. And she was part of the Lumineers for 8 years. She was on SNL. She played at Red Rocks. I mean, she played at MSG, Madison Square Garden. She's done major shit in her career. And it's pretty amazing that I got to talk with somebody like that. That's why I love doing this podcast. Plus, she was so charming and nice. And she is that type of artist that doesn't let the fame or how amazingly talented she is go to her head. She was so, I would love to have her on every week because she was that charming and nice and just gracious. And then I got a preview of her new EP that she has out with 5 songs on it. And all 5 songs are the next one's great and it gets better and it's good. It's just they're so good. She's so talented. I don't know. I just actually did the interview and sometimes I wait to do these intros of my guest until later on, but I'm so wired up and jazzed up after talking with her that I'm let me do this intro now because, yeah, I don't know. I'm on a high after talking with her. She was fantastic. So enjoy my interview with her. Download her album. If you are in New York on August 13th, you have to go see her show. And if you do, please write me and let me know. And if you are in LA on August 27th and you go see her show, write me after that and tell me because I have a feeling it is going to be an amazing show, both shows. So thanks so much for listening and enjoy my interview. Have a great week. Hi, thanks for joining me in the Everything and Anything at a Big Gay podcast. Today I have a guest who is got an amazing, amazing voice. She is a 2-time Grammy singer-songwriter nominee. She was formerly part of the Lumineers, and now you write musicals. So welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
So I got this request to have you come on my show, and I looked you up, and I'm like, yes, of course. I mean, actually, when I started hearing your song, I'm like, oh, I know who she is. Yes. And so how did you get started in music? At what age did you know, I have this incredible voice and that I should be doing this as my lifelong career? How did you know that?
Yeah, I was an incredibly shy kid. And so I think I knew I was musically inclined. And I grew up playing the cello and singing in choir and that kind of thing. But I was absolutely afraid to sing in front of anyone or kind of show anyone that I could do that. But my mom was very eager to tell everybody that I was a good singer. I recall some very cringy story of standing behind a door while a neighbor came over and singing something horrifically. So luckily I got through that trauma. And I think especially as I got to kind of high school and college, music just felt like my safe place. And the time of day that I looked forward to going to class was choir. And through really amazing teachers, that was kind of nurtured in me. And yeah, especially in high school, I had an amazing choir teacher named Darren Drown. And I finally was brave enough to get a solo in the choir, and it sort of ignited something in me and really got into theater. And yeah, I guess I just didn't feel very good at anything else. So
Okay.
I had to go with that.
So, and then you were part of the Lumineers for how long? A while, right?
Yeah, I met them just like a couple weeks after I graduated college. I ended up with a music ed degree, and I studied musical theater for a couple of years. And again, I was a cellist, but I had never really been in any kind of mainstream music type band. I was in like barbershop quartets and things like that. But I had just graduated and I was perusing Craigslist. This is 2010. And there was a folk band looking for a cello player. And I just kind of took the plunge thinking like, oh, this will get me out of the house. I was living with my parents at the time, and I'll play some gigs and whatever, but it quickly got out of hand, and I was part of the band for about 8 years. So when I met them, they were like two dudes from Jersey in their basement, and by 2012, we got nominated, for a couple Grammys, and got to play on Saturday Night Live and meet Obama and do all these insane things.
Let's talk about a few of those things, because you were on SNL. Red Rocks you played at, which is, I mean, I've never been. It's like it's on my bucket list to do, is to see someone.
You must,
Madison Square Garden. You've opened for U2, and you met President Obama. I mean, that's just two of those. One of those things would have been amazing. So, out of those things, there's one that stands out for you more than the other.
Oh my gosh, they were all really incredible. I mean, I remember when we were playing Madison Square Garden, someone was asking me, what does this mean to you? And I was talking about how much it meant, but I was saying how like, this is the closest I've gotten to being on Broadway. Yeah. And they were like, well, this is actually kind of bigger than that. And I was like, I don't care. I'm like down the street from, the people in Hamilton right now. So
yeah.
But I mean, meeting Obama was pretty dang special. When he invites you to come to his house, you got to say yes.
Oh, you actually went to his house?
We went to the White House.
Oh, the White House. Okay.
Yes, when he was still living, his old residence. But that was just an incredible honor, and something you just feel so much bigger than yourself. And I'm sure he meets so many people, and he still makes it feel like you're so special, and like this is meaningful to him too. So that was really amazing.
Yeah, I feel like he's so charming and stuff, and I feel like I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him, but I feel like when he does meet people, it's like it's you and him are the only ones in the room, and he makes it. Is that
totally?
Yeah, that's just his personality. You can tell that he's just such a charismatic person. So
totally nailed it.
And we'll be right back. Okay, now back to the show. So you were with the band for 8 years. Why did you decide to go off and do your solo career?
Yeah, it was an incredible experience. And I did it for 8 years kind of through, I think I met them when I was about 22 or 23 years old. And so a lot changes as you kind of exit your 20s into your 30s. And it was all consuming. I mean, it was like 300 days of the year. And while, of course, there's the highs of meeting Obama and playing MSG, most days are like you're in a weird green room somewhere. You see the hotel, you see the green room, you're on stage, and it's like you wait for that hour and 15 minutes of being on stage. But I also was ready to start writing my own songs and kind of getting back to my theater roots. And I always felt a little bit impostery in the music industry in that way. That, of course, I'm still in the music industry, but I find that as I enter more of the theater world, I feel so at home and with my people. And even the band, we had, it's like a family. And so you have your ups and downs, but I was the only gal on tour with these, again, dudes from Jersey. Yeah. So I think I wanted to kind of surround myself with a bit more like-minded people who are interested in more collaboration and writing songs. They kept a lot of the songwriting really tight between the two of them. And that's fair. I mean, that everybody's process is different. But I
want to touch back on what you said about the imposter. I think a lot of people that are talented and being seen by people have imposter syndrome.
Totally.
Including, I'm going through that myself with the podcast. I'm like, am I talking to myself? And then I look at the numbers, I'm like, I'm not, but I still can't believe that people are listening to this podcast. Like, it's just, I think that's just a common thing. Like, do you still have that feeling sometimes?
Oh, of course. Yes, all the time. I always have so much self-doubt, and especially, going into a big show or releasing a record or whatever. And I think at the end of the day, where I find what's helpful is like if you're making stuff that you feel passionate about and good about, and, you believe in it, of course you want others to believe in it too. But I think it's much easier to get behind something, at least that like you believe in that project so much.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a hard thing to fight, because I do think the majority of people probably experience it.
It's consuming sometimes. You're just like, God, I got to get out of my head. So.
Totally, yeah.
Okay, so you turned to musical theater, right? And Rattlesnake Kate, tell me that whole story.
Yeah, so I think because I had spent the last 8 years with the Lumineers touring and recording and kind of putting that kind of stuff together, I knew that I knew how to write a record and go into the studio and tour it. And I had sat with this story since college of Rattlesnake Kate, who is this kind of unknown folk hero of Colorado, where I grew up. And when I was a student up in Greeley, Colorado, which is like a tiny cow town about 60 miles north of Denver, there's a small museum. And in it, they feature this true story of Rattlesnake Kate. And as legend has it, she was out on horseback with her 3-year-old son in 1925. She hopped off the horse to open this gate, and as she was making her way back, she found herself in the midst of a rattlesnake migration and like hundreds of rattlesnakes
that's
everywhere.
like I'm so scared of snakes. It's my worst nightmare ever.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I guess you sort of go into fight or flight mode, and she ended up shooting at the snakes, which is like the worst thing you can do for a rattlesnake. But I guess she thought that was her. And, the stakes are heightened because she's got her little baby on the horse, and but she quickly ran out of bullets, and then there was like a sign in the ground, no hunting sign, kind of ironically, but she plucked that from the ground and began to clobber the snakes. And she says she did it for 2 hours, and she wound up killing 140 rattlesnakes and lived to tell the tale. Baby, horse, everybody's fine except for the snakes. And she then fashioned a flapper-style gown out of the snakeskins. You can Google this. It looks so gruesome and amazing.
Okay.
And the museum has this on display, her gown, and it has like full rattle necklace and shoes and a belt and everything. And I just thought this was the weirdest story I'd ever heard, and that also like nobody knew about it. And so for many years, it was almost just like my party trick, where if there was a lull in the conversation, I'd be like, want to hear something weird? Yeah. And as we had a little bit of a break from Lumineers between our first record and our second, and I started really thinking about writing songs about this, mostly for myself and my friends. I didn't have any big plans to turn it into something, but I started to really dive into research about her life, and it was like so much greater than the rattlesnake thing, where like she was married and divorced 6 times, and she was struck by lightning, and just like this total badass woman that I felt really like inspired by her, because she was committed to being authentically who she was, regardless of how it made other people feel. Yeah. And as someone who's, operates a little bit people-pleasy and codependent and all those things, I was like, wow, if I could have like 5% of Rattlesnake Kate in me, I think I could be a more assertive person. And yeah, the songwriting just kind of like took me by storm, and I couldn't stop writing songs about her. And I had the idea to put them on a record and kind of release this concept album first, and take that on the road as kind of a one-woman show. And it was all kind of happening simultaneously. I was writing and recording it while I was on tour with Lumineers. And then as we got to the end of our second record cycle, I kind of had to choose between the two, because it was like this project was never going to get my full attention if I stayed with the band. And I chose to do this. It was bringing me a lot of joy. And so I toured with it as kind of a cabaret style show, storytelling and singing the songs from the record. And then the Denver Center, our big regional theater here in Colorado, and it's like where I grew up going to shows and falling in love with musical theater, agreed to commission a full bona fide musical out of it.
Wow.
Which it had its world premiere in 2022. I wrote like a dozen new songs, threw out a bunch from the record, and it was just one of the most rewarding and amazing experiences I've ever had.
How is the songwriting process different whenever you're kind of writing for a character versus kind of for yourself?
Yeah, I think it's amazing. Like, I don't know if I would write any other way, partly because you can totally write about your own stuff, but kind of through this mask of someone else. And so, especially that Rattlesnake record, I feel like there's 2 sides to every song. There's a song on that record that's called Ode to a Horse, which is about her horse, Brownie, who was like truly her best friend. Yeah. And I had gone through like a really tough friendship falling out with a dear friend, and we could not make our friendship work anymore. And so I'd kind of written the song about Kate and her horse, but like through that lens, but it was like my own heartbreak of the loss of a friendship. And I also just, I think pulling our own lives are, if you're Taylor Swift, I think she's amazing at trying to craft, songs out of her own stuff. But it's nice to pull from a narrative of someone's life who's maybe a little more interesting than my own.
Did your friend know that song was kind of?
I don't know. We don't speak anymore, unfortunately. Yeah. I feel like we might be like Harry Potter and Voldemort, that we can't exist while the other survives.
Yeah,
it was a beautiful friendship while it lasted, but it ran.
We
its
all
course,
go through those friendship breakups. So
right.
yeah, I've done an episode or two about where you just kind of get to an age where you just like, yep, nope, I'm done. I'm shedding all these friends, and it's healthy.
Totally. Yeah. And I think it can be even more heartbreaking than like romantic loss of friendship. But it's because I think you can stay friends forever, but like romance sort of runs its course. Yeah. But I think ultimately it can be healthy to have better friends in your life that suit your.
You kind of mentioned Taylor Swift and stuff. Is there somebody that you would love to? I'll ask a couple of questions in this one question that you would love to collaborate with, or do a duet with, or just do anything with? Do you have who's your top 3 people that you would love to do? And it doesn't have to be musical theater. It doesn't have to be folk. It could be anyone. It could be Madonna. It could be Taylor Swift. I mean, it could be anybody that you want.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Someone I think I could totally make magic with is Jinx Monsoon.
Okay, yep.
I love her so much, and I just feel like she comes from that like vaudevillian spirit the way I feel I do. And whether we were to write something together or to like have the honor of her singing one of my songs, that would be a dream for sure.
Have you ever met Jinx?
I met her one time at a bar in Seattle back in the day. It was the Pony in Capitol Hill, and we did some karaoke. So I got really close.
You know what? I'm going to tag her in this whenever I post this. I'm going to say, reach out.
I love it. And like her star just keeps rising, and I'm so like, I just watch from afar and on. I got to see her in Oh Mary a few months back when she was in it on Broadway, and I'm so happy for everybody to like understand what a genius she is. So if the stars align, it'd be great to collab with her.
Well, if I get her to respond to the Instagram post, I need a front row ticket for free then.
You got it. Absolutely. We're in this together.
Okay, awesome. All right, who's the other 2?
Let's see. Who else do I absolutely love? Oh my gosh, Brandi Carlile. Just an icon. That voice, again, like to hear her sing something that I wrote would be amazing. To like belt into the abyss together would be amazing. I think she's a genius. And then maybe maybe Sarah Bareilles. Again, just I feel like we're of the same spirit, and all these powerhouse ladies.
Yeah. You know who I wish would come back and do something brand new is Tracy Chapman.
Oh my God, I love Tracy Chapman. Yes.
She did something with Luke Combs at the Grammys where they sung Fast Car together. And I have to tell you that I have watched that video probably 30 times over because it's such a fantastic performance, because he respected her so much because it was her song when he was, I don't know if you've seen that performance.
I have. And it kind of gave that song a resurgence, which what a tune that is. Yeah.
And I love the way that he respected her, because a couple of reasons why I'll just kind of say this. She's a Black lesbian and he's a man, cisgender country music, totally opposite. And the way that he showed that respect, I just felt like was so needed at that time too. So
totally. Yeah. That collaboration is like what we need as a society.
We so need that. We need that like every day in our society. So
totally. Oh, I love that.
And we'll be right back. Okay, and now back to the show. So what have you not done that you have on your radar that you want to do? Or what do you want to be doing? And have you thought about like your long-term plan at 10 years from now? Like what would you love to be doing?
I feel so at home kind of writing musicals, and I just feel like there's an endless supply of stories to tell. Yeah. And especially, it's disheartening just kind of what I see in the industry in terms of like, ticket sales are down. I just read something about like the Jellicle Ball is closing, and it's like, if that can't stay on Broadway, what can? And so I'm hoping, I know we're in an economic time that's hard for folks, and Broadway tickets aren't at the top of people's lists, but it's still like the pinnacle for me. And so to get something on Broadway, whether that's just one verse of a song or, if I were to like be in a Broadway show, both things would be an absolute dream.
Is there a show you would love to be in?
Oh my gosh. Dream roles for sure. Like Sally Bowles and Cabaret would be a dream role for sure. I got to see that on the West End last year, and it was just incredible. I think Eponine and Les Mis, I would love that. But yeah, and I feel very like excited to originate stuff as well and watch other people originate my material on my new EP, which I'm sure we'll get to. But talk about collaboration. Mary-Kate Morrissey sings a duet with me on the record, and that was also like a dream. I had met her because she did one of our first workshops of Rattlesnake Kate, and she's just the most gracious and kind, and to like it's like what I want my voice to sound like when I'm writing things, what actually comes out of her face. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, I wish my songs sounded like that when I sang them. So it was so cool to get to sing with her in the studio, and she's just a peach. She's so sweet.
So tell me about Adelaide Herrmann.
Yeah, so similar to Rattlesnake Kate, it's like this historical story that just kind of wrapped me up inside of it. Like I can't stop thinking about her, but she was this magician from the Victorian period, and just kind of a firecracker of a woman, where she met her husband, Alexander Herrmann, who at the time was a very prominent magician. And this is like the heyday of magic. We're talking Houdini and Thurston and all the big guys. And so they met, and he was very charismatic and doing kind of these like parlor tricks and sleight of hand magic. And she had the brilliant idea to bring that to the big stage. And like, what if we add lights and costumes and storylines and kind of like informing what we do see in Broadway shows today. And so she was super influential, just kind of the craft in general. But she was also the first woman to headline her own magic show, and was just ambitious beyond ambitious. Like, she worked well into her 70s and kind of just kept, as we talked about Madonna, like kept reinventing herself. And I'm always curious about that. I feel like every time I put out a big project, I threaten to retire at the end of it because it's so much work.
Yeah.
And like, there's probably something easier I could do with my life than this. But the pull to the craft, I think, like, is always very inspiring to me. And so I read her memoir, and it was during Rattlesnake Kate, our sound designer on the show, Ken Travis, who did like sound design on Aladdin on Broadway and Memphis on Broadway. He gave me her memoir and was like, I wonder if this would spark anything for you. He's like a big magic nerd. So he was excited at the prospect of like bringing a magic show to the stage, but with this amazing story at the heart of it. And I immediately was hooked by her. And I'm always like very inspired by ambitious folks that like the circumstances aren't totally easy for them, and they do it anyway. So.
And why do you think that you kind of gravitate towards these women in history? Like that, it seems like it's a theme. Like, is there? I kind of love that, just because you're bringing back these stories. Like I think it's so cool that you found Rattlesnake Kate, and then you decided to kind of go with that. Do you know what brings you to these women in history? Like, why you kind of gravitate towards that?
I think what's interesting is like they seem to be fighting for a lot of the same things we continue to fight for and think about. Yeah. I saw one of the things of Rattlesnake Kate that was interesting to me is that she kept this 40-year correspondence with this man in Iowa, who I think was like kind of an early version of a catfish, but this like poet who wrote to her, and he had read about her rattlesnake encounter in his newspaper, and was like, oh, I'm so enamored with you. I want to write poems and stories about you. And it was like kind of romantic at the beginning. And he kept saying he was going to like come to Colorado and they would meet up and fall in love, and then like ghosted her numerous times. But she kept writing to him. And I think it was because she like felt very seen by this person and very understood in a way that, again, she was like married and divorced 6 times. And I think especially like men had a really hard time with this very fiery, ambitious woman. And so she put this effort into this relationship that I think made her feel really seen and heard. And like that feels like such a modern thing that's happening all the time today. And similar with Adelaide Herrmann, I think she's a person that, she was really hungry to do her craft and to be taken as seriously as her male counterparts were. And that was something that felt very magnified being in a band of men when I was doing my time with the Lumineers. And we'd do interviews all the time, and they would get asked all about their craft and how did you get good at songwriting and how did you get good at this? And then I usually get asked either what's it like to be the only woman in a band or like, how do you pick your outfits for the show? And I was like, I'm the only one in this band with a music degree.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And so I think like these stories that are from over 100 years ago, and a lot of that still applies today, feels inspiring to me.
Let's talk about, you're going to be in New York.
Yeah.
August 13th. Where are you performing?
I'm doing a show at the Green Room 42, and I'm so excited. I'm going to share all 5 songs from my new EP. And I'm doing a handful of these vaudevillian extravaganzas, is what I'm calling them. Yeah, so we did one in Denver the day my EP came out in May. And on it, I wanted it to feel like something Adelaide would put together that's like very vaudevillian in spirit. So there's a myriad of performers. We'll have a barbershop quartet on it.
Oh.
The quartet I've hired in New York, it's not your grandfather's Straw Hat Barbershop Quartet. They're a group called Smoke Ring, who are dear friends of mine. And they have taken the barbershop world by storm. I know that sounds niche, but it's so important what they're doing because they're a group of just expressive, amazing humans. The lead, Steph, she goes by Tags, but she's just like this voluptuous, amazing woman who is so comfortable in her skin. And I think it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Yeah. And I love that about her.
I love that too.
Yeah, their bass, Gabe, like they'll wear a beautiful ball gown and then sing with this deep bass voice and like, I don't know. They're so cool and they sing incredibly and they're so not what you picture when you think about a barbershop quartet. And I just love them. So I'm super excited to feature them. Linda Hung is an amazing magician out of New York. I just kind of sought her out via the internet, but I was reading on her website of when she first learned about magic and kind of the experiencing that illusion like really hooked her as a little girl. And that felt so Adelaide to me. And then I have some incredible guest vocalists coming. I have Mia Girakis, who is in Beaches on Broadway, among other things. And my dear best friend, Brian Cronin, who like, he's my dearest pal and just the voice of an angel. Yeah. So he's coming with me from Denver. And then Michelle Rocket, who's this like TikTok sensation. She's an incredible musical theater writer and singer. And it's just going to be a night of madness. It's going to be great. I can't wait.
And then you're doing a show in LA on the 27th of August. So is that a different flavor of the same night, or is it going to be its own thing?
It's the same concept in terms of vaudevillian extravaganza. Yeah. Again, I will play my 5 songs for my EP, but I have different folks showing up for that. So I have Sansa Asylum, another amazing magician, and the Newfangled Four, who is maybe my favorite quartet in the world. Next to Smoke Ring, they're both so good, but they're super duper funny. And I think like if you're not someone that's like, oh, barbershop quartet sounds so dumb or dorky or boring, they're the opposite of that. Yeah. Both of these groups, I think like they are so compelling, and barbershop quartet music is so challenging to sing, and they also manage to like make you forget how hard it is that they're singing in tune and like doing these amazing vocal acrobats because they're also performing in this way that's just so compelling.
Awesome. And so are these events kind of a little bit of a taste of what a full production of The Queen of Magic could eventually be?
In a way, yeah. I mean, the songs will be, for the most part, hopefully will all be in the show. Musical theater is always like, kill all your darlings. But yeah, these songs are taken from the show, and I think you get just a little quick summary of Adelaide's life, like a 30-minute version. Yeah. But right now I'm working on a full musical with a gal named Gabrielle Mirabella, who I say is like the perfect person to write a magic musical because her name sounds like an incantation. Yeah. But she's an amazing playwright, and we've been crafting this show together. And I think this is sort of like the mini version of what the big bona fide musical will be, with lots of characters and lights and costumes and all the things.
Everybody that is kind of in your world and they come on my show, I ask them this question. Have you ever been able to see Bridget Everett perform?
Never in my life, only like on the internet and on TV. Oh my God, I love her. I've seen her
perform many times. She is a dream guest. And I've had people on my show that know her, and I've like begged them to like please. So I'm hoping that it comes through one day. So
yes, let's manifest that. Yes. I just love her. And talk about Queen of the Cabaret.
Yes.
But also like with her show Is Somebody Somewhere, she's this larger than life character in her cabaret world, but then like so tender and amazing on that show.
And
I love her.
The funny story that I have about her is that she was kind of being seen online a little bit when I seen her I seen her at Below 54 for the first time when I seen her. And it was like a Tuesday night. I was living in New York at the time, and we got tickets to the show, and there were like 15 people in the audience. And it was a variety show. So there was like all these different, like some of them, the acts were like a little weird and some of them were like amazing. And so, but we loved it. We loved every single act that came up. And at the end, she's sitting in a booth in this, and below 54. And we went up and we talked to her. She's like, oh, let's be friends on Facebook. I'm like, great. I loved her. And then I seen her at Joe's Pub several times. And then one of my friends went and he's like, oh, I just seen this amazing cabaret singer. Her name is Bridget Everett. Do you know her? I'm like, yeah, I knew her way before. Like she was, I discovered her before you did. So no. And now I just like, I send her these DMs. I'm like, she's going to answer me one day and say, yes, I'll come on.
Yes.
But I'm not even registering in her inbox. So,
let's keep tagging her. I just love her.
I love her too. She's so talented and she's so genuinely, and she's charming. And I love her body positivity that she has. And she's a body and I love it all. So
yeah, she's incredible. And talk about that star just keeps rising for her. But we got to get her on this podcast, definitely.
And I would love to. I would love for you guys to perform together too. Would that be?
What a dream! Yes, Bridget, if you're listening, come to the show on the 13th. I'll put you on stage. Whatever you want to say.
Exactly. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Okay, now back to the show. Talk to me a little bit about your new EP. So you have 5 songs out. One of them we're going to play actually as we end this. It's called Fearless. So as we're ending the interview, you guys will get to hear it. But tell me, like, how's it going with the EP? Is it everything you wanted it to be? How did you write the songs? Give me all the details about it.
Yeah, so we've got probably 20 songs or so that are written for the Queen of Magic right now. And so I tried to pick 5 that could kind of exist alone on an EP without tons of backstory or just sounded like, there's not a lot of dialogue in them and that kind of thing. And so, I plucked some amazing musicians out of Denver. It was pretty much all made locally except for the tune with MK Morrissey. We recorded the vocals together in New York, but yeah, I have this amazing collaborator named Annie Booth. She's a jazz pianist in town, and she's just the coolest person and the dreamiest collaborator where she's always like offering something supportive without ever making it about herself. Yeah. And I was kind of talking about visions for this and how I wanted strings and horns and things that really brought us into the time period of kind of that vaudevillian feel. And she like cranked out all these amazing arrangements for like clarinet, trombone, trumpets. There's string quartets. I did play in the string quartets, but in terms of arranging, that's like not as much in my skill set, or it would take me a really long time. And so all the string arrangements she did, especially on Dream With Me, it's just like immediately evocative of dreaminess. And so, that was incredible. And just like finding people you can work with in the studio is so beneficial, and people who are completely egoless. And I think musical theater is really that way, to find collaborators that it's all serving the greater good of the project. And I think in musicals you have to throw out a lot of songs and put your ego aside of like, even if you think it's a great song, it might not serve the story. And so it was really nice to kind of get these realized in a way that I felt really like precious about them. And now like if any of those songs get cut, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was such a great experience. I recorded it kind of over time, doing it locally and at home. I didn't have a ton of like deadlines. I always try to make deadlines for myself, otherwise it'll never come out. But no one was, breathing down my neck of like, you got to get it done. So I think it was like a very wonderful process in recording the record. And I always loved getting to sing with my friend Brian, who's featured on Dream With Me. We were college roommates. We met in a vocal jazz group at school, and I take him everywhere I go because he's just an incredible singer and the sweetest person. So you'll hear his gorgeous vocals on the second track on there, Dream With Me.
Would you ever want to move to New York and just kind of be in that rush of the Broadway scene all the time and stuff? Like, have you done? I should ask, have you ever lived in New York? Or
I never have fully done it. And I think about this a lot because I have kind of made the choice to stay in Denver where I grew up. Mm-hmm. And I spent about a decade kind of touring everywhere And it was always such a nice, like, soft landing to come back home. And I was just having a conversation with a friend recently who used to live in New York. He's now in LA, and he kind of hates both of those cities now. And he grew up in Colorado. And I think, like, I have such a great relationship with both New York and LA and Chicago as well. And I keep kind of finding ways to, like, breeze into town and do my thing without living in the grind, which is maybe like a cheat code. But I love New York City so much. And I do aspire that, like, I could live there for a year or something. Or my sister and I keep talking about how when we're old ladies, we're going to get like a beautiful apartment on the park and just make stew and leave our husbands.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've been looking at listings.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I mean, I lived there on and off for like 17 years or so. And it's definitely, when I left New York, I didn't want to leave. And then now when I go and visit, I'm in Boston now. And now when I go back, I'm like, okay, I had enough, like after 3 days.
Yeah.
But it's weird. The last time I just went to New York, I'm like, God, if it wasn't so expensive here, I would like to maybe live here again. But I also can't live in a 800 to 1,000 square foot apartment now because I have a house now and I have too much.
Yes.
I'm an adult now and I have like real furniture and I have so many shoes and clothes that it would take up the whole apartment. So
totally.
So I have to be an adult and like stay in Boston. So
yeah, I think like maybe it's okay to just sort of visit. And I also just think like my friends who live there, they often live like so far out from Manhattan and, you know, they commute in and it's a grind and I totally respect it. And even just like to get groceries is like challenging. And yeah, I feel comfortable where I am, maybe too comfortable, and it's good to challenge yourself sometimes. But I would love, maybe my manifestation is going there for a year or so to work on a show.
I like your idea though. Whenever you get your old ladies, you guys, you know, get a nice Upper East Side right on the Central Park. You can walk out.
You can take the train.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that sounds fantastic. So it was so nice having you on. I wanted to ask one more quick question. Where in LA are you playing on the 27th?
Yes. It's going to be at the Cat's Crawl, which is kind of in the east part of LA. Super cool little, perfect for like a vaudeville show or a variety show. So super excited for that.
And I'm going to put a link to both of your shows in the description of this podcast or video so people can go and get tickets and get them before they're sold out. And I'll put a link to your music as well. And you were a fantastic guest. And we're going to end this podcast so you can listen to the song Fearless as we end. So thank you so much for being on. You are an amazing guest.
Oh, thank you, Zach. This was so lovely. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Bye.